They called it the Widowmaker, the fastest Porsche money could buy in 1975. And it had a habit of killing the men rich enough to own it. Lift off the throttle in the middle of a fast corner, and the engine hung out behind the back wheels, where no sane engineer would ever put it, would swing the car around like a hammer and throw it off the road backwards. Here's the strange part. Porsche knew. They had always known the engine was in the wrong place, and they left it there for 60 years on purpose. This is the story of a car that was wrong and won anyway. A car that survived its own drivers, then survived its own company trying to murder it in a boardroom. Remember one year, 1981. That is the year Porsche decided to kill the 911. Hold that thought. Start in 1963, Frankfurt. Porsche pulls the cover off a car it calls the 901. They have to change the name almost at once. Peugeot owns every three-digit name with a zero in the middle, so 901 becomes 911, the number that will outlive everyone in that room. It's drawn by Bootsy Porsche, grandson of the founder, and under the tail it carries the family's oldest idea, an air-cooled engine, cylinders lying flat, bolted in behind the rear axle. It's the same layout as the little Beetle his grandfather built for a dictator 30 years before. The engine in the back, the weight in the wrong place. Every rival said it was a mistake. Hang the heaviest part of the car out behind the wheels and physics will punish you. And they were right. It should not have worked. Except it did. On a racetrack, it was almost unkillable. Monte Carlo in the snow, the Targa Florio on Sicilian mountain roads with the drops unguarded. Le Mans, the 911 and its monstrous cousins won everything there was to win. The car built wrong kept beating the cars built right, and Porsche learned the most dangerous lesson a company can learn, that it could get away with it. 1975. Porsche takes the idea to its limit. It bolts a turbocharger to the back of the 911 and calls it the 930. On paper, it's the fastest thing on the road. In practice, it's a trap with a license plate. The turbo does nothing, and then, past 4,000 revs, everything. All the power lands at once in a single violent punch. And if that punch arrives while you're turning, the weight in the tail breaks loose and the car snaps around before a human can even react. No traction control, no electronic safety net, just you and physics and a heavy engine in the wrong place, waiting for one mistake. Drivers died, enough of them that the car earned a name that stuck: the Widowmaker. Porsche's flaw had turned lethal, and somehow that only made people want it more. But inside the company, the engineers had had enough of the wrong place. By the late 70s, Porsche's own management makes the call. The rear engine is a dead end. The 911 is old. It has to go. So they built its replacement, the 928. Engine in the front, where it belongs. A big, smooth, civilized grand tourer. Everything the 911 wasn't. It even wins European Car of the Year. The plan is set. The 911 will be quietly discontinued. On the internal charts, its production line simply stops in 1981. That is the year the American walks in. His name is Peter Schutz. Porsche brings him in to run the company, and early on he's standing in the office of his head of engineering, and he sees it. A chart on the wall. 3 lines, 3 models, reaching into the future. 2 of them climb. The third the 911 stops dead at 1981. A flat line, a death date, drawn in ink. Schutz doesn't call a meeting. He picks up a marker and he draws the 911's line straight across the chart, past 1981, off the paper, onto the wall, out toward the door. Then he turns around and asks, "Do we understand each other?" And the room understands. With one pen stroke, the most famous Porsche ever built is uncancelled. The wrong car gets to live because one man refused to let the accountants win. Now jump forward. The little sporty car company that almost murdered its own icon has grown rich and confident and hungry. By 2008, Porsche is tiny but wildly profitable, and it sets its sights on something insane: swallowing Volkswagen. The giant, the company built around that same Beetle from the 1930s, a company many times its size. They do it in the dark. Quietly, through the banks, Porsche buys options on Volkswagen stock until it secretly controls 74% of the company. And then, in October, they let it slip, and the market detonates. Because the traders who had bet against Volkswagen suddenly discover there are almost no shares left to buy, Porsche has them all. To cover their bets, they have to buy at any price. For a couple of days, Volkswagen becomes the most valuable company on the planet. The people betting against it lose something like $30 billion. Porsche has just pulled off the greatest financial ambush in market history, and it destroys them. The debt they took on to do it, around 10 billion euros, comes due exactly as the global financial crisis hits. The hunter runs out of money, and Volkswagen, wounded and furious, turns around and buys Porsche instead. The minnow that tried to swallow the whale gets swallowed whole. The men who engineered the ambush are gone. The empire changes hands. But the 911, the wrong car, the Widowmaker, the one they tried to cancel, is still there. Still with its engine hung out behind the rear wheels, exactly where it was never supposed to be. It outlives the drivers who feared it. It outlived the executives who tried to kill it. It outlived the takeover that nearly ended the whole company. 60 years of being wrong and still winning. If this one got its hooks in you, do one thing: subscribe. This channel tells the car history the glossy magazines were too polite to print. We've already done BMW, Lamborghini, DeLorean, Godzilla, and the Ford that buried Ferrari. Next time, the car that started all of it. The engine in the back. A people's car, ordered by Adolf Hitler, that somehow became the best-selling car in history and the face of the peace and love generation. The Beetle. I'll see you in the next one.